Soul talk, soul conversations, soul awareness. I like the word vibratorily soul. That inner beingness of the wholeness of the divine. No matter what we call it, some believe that soul and spirit are separate, and our spirit has the soul. I believe that the inner body is comprised up of layers that illuminate the soul within the body, that has a interconnectedness with the higher being that's connected to the divine. If you want to point outside of yourself, it's perfectly fine to do that if you want to have that diagram. But you are made up of layers of energy that allow you to connect with your higher self and the divine within you. Right? So it really doesn't matter how you label soul conversation or soul talk. You're actually having a vibratory communication with whomever you're expressing that energy to, whether it's inwardly to yourself or outwardly to others, right? So when I would do my soul conversations with Sandra, the podcast, I would always say I attune myself to the creative impulses that dwell in me and seek to express in, through, and as me as my essential creativeness of the divine. Right? And that's part of how I embody the things that I may dabble in. You know, sometimes I have conversations with the guest on the podcast, or I read a couple of paragraphs or pages from a book. Or I do my oracle cards, or I allow myself to, or allow the divine to speak through me, through my light language, through my soul's light language, right? And then there are other times that we just have a conversation. We just, chill and shoot the breeze. Like this morning, we had a conversation about merging modern medicine with holistic and therapeutic medicines from herbs and whatnot. So holistic and herbal medicines, and merging the two, I like because I am a higher being having a human encounter with this physical body and a conscious mind. I am all three. Why shouldn't I merge those aspects of me? It doesn't mean that anybody else has to believe what I believe, right? It means that at some point I was open enough to receive some information in, whether you want to call it downloads or uploads, or I got up and I had this thought, I had this I woke up I was on the edge of my sleep and awaken, and I had this brilliant, beautiful epiphany, right? No matter what label you call it, it's what the divine within you is sharing, whether it's for you personally, specifically, or whether it's for you to take in, utilize for you first, and then put it in, in a lesson plan to share with others, right? So with me, I have learned so much over my 60 plus solar returns, and through it, learning also how to be my unique, authentic self, right? I may have, as a child, been more open than maybe my sisters and brothers or my siblings, or or my friends or a teacher or whatnot, but that was only in certain aspects of the divine seeing itself in me. Doesn't make it right or wrong, doesn't make me better than someone else or higher on a higher platform than someone else. Just because I have the gift of speaking my light language doesn't mean that all of a sudden I'm better than someone else, or just because someone else had light language before me, they're better than me, unless I want to think that way, right? And what I love is that what helped me, start understanding the points of reference that I started to, when I started to say what now or what more with what I was learning, even as a teeny bopper, and I call a teeny bopper just turning 10 or 11, going into double digits. Because as a child, I felt I could ask any question I wanted to ask with my mom, even if she didn't know the answer. She would always point me in a direction and say, okay, where do you, is this where you want to go next? She wasn't hell bent, and I'll say it that way, on me being a devout Baptist. She wanted me to have my questions answered. And sometimes I come back and the question still wasn't answered. And she would say, well, put it on a back burner. Maybe something else will lead you to it. You just have to be open and available to see it. It might not show itself up as a direct definition or explanation, but you'll be able to move in the direction of it. I truly believe that over the span of growth, that when I was growing up with my mother, it was like basically life is giving you, leaving you notes. It's dropping hints to you. And over the time I would go, wow, I think that was always there. I'm having a deja vu. And my mother would say, well, deja vu means that you've encountered that somewhere, someplace, in some form of time, and you've encountered it, and now it's coming back around to say, hey, do you see me? Now that was her best. I'm quite sure somebody else could have gave it most eloquently, some in a different, a different set of, in a documentary or on somebody else's YouTube. They could have did the words so eloquently and put it all in perspective. But the way she, delivered the message to me was that, life is always dropping you little hints, subtle hints, or sometimes outrageous and bodacious and right in front of you, dropped right in front of you. If you were any closer to it, it would have dropped on top of you and flattened you for a moment. And then there are some hints that are put right in front of you, and you can't see them spite it being right in your face, because you are tied to a limited thought that you've always been in, and you hadn't let go of it. So it's blocking your direct view, and the only way you can view it is from the peripheral, right? But you get to take what resonates for you in your growth and your process, in your experience, right? So what I wanted to share with you is I wanted to share hold on a second, let me find it. I have so many bookmarks in this book. It's from the Divine Design, and it's called This is what I wanted to share. If you have the Divine Design by Lori Ladd, I'm not telling you to go out and buy the book. I'm not saying, I'm not trying to, I'm not getting any back, pay or any, any pay. I'm just sharing a book that I read that has opened up opened me up to seeing more of my questions answered that were asked, when I was a teenager, when I was a young adult. And for me, not for anyone else, the Bible couldn't give me all the answers. Or at least it wasn't being shared with the if there was information in it, no one was flashing or shining a flashlight on it and saying, here this is. This can be useful, right? Okay, so let's see. Now, this is based, let's see. This is part of, I think, the 3rd chapter, which is talking about how they created the 4D races. Earlier in this book, they were talking about how everything was created. It was created in 5D so that Earth consciousness could shift from 5D and shift up the polarity scale up to 7D. And along with the Earth consciousness and her form body shifting and evolving, humanity was going to shift and evolve as well. So in chapter 5 on page 80, that's if you have the book, I give you that information. It talks about the impact of the human form's frequency. And it begins, hi Rosa. It begins with, and I'm dropping you right in the middle or towards the end of the 5th chapter, okay? So it says, the 7th pivotal reason for the fall that was the impact the human form's frequency had on Earth's frequency. What had happened was the higher beings that were 4th density beings that came to play on Earth consciousness, they decided that they didn't want to take physical form. They didn't want to be born as babies. What they wanted to do is they wanted to do what the divine did and Earth consciousness did by creating form that were that from their DNA they wanted to have this form without having a higher being be born into it. They wanted to create their own form. They wanted to be the creator. And guess what? The divine said, let it be so, because that's their intention plus energy was going to be what they were creating in on this playground. And these were 4th density beings. They could only do it in 4D. They had the opportunity with energy to kind of anchor into 4D, and they could access energy or the 3D energy polarity, but they couldn't step foot in it. How they were doing it. And so what they were doing is, because of all their experiments of trying to do what they did in certain areas, utilizing experiments in dream sequences and experiments through DNA splicing, but not splicing like you would think that they were splicing. They would take they would keep the body in kind of like I don't know what you would call it, in kind of like being in a daze, and they would work on the inner the inner's energy form, the light beam form of the being, right? Take what you want. Take what, I'm giving you a kind of like a, before I can drop into this, right? So what happened was, the more higher beings wanted to have more stories. They wanted to drop into lower dimensions, which would give them more story, more consciousness to have, right? They would be able to avail themselves to higher polarity and lower polarity, right? Peace Queen, what is the name of the book again? This book is called The Divine Design. Every now and then I go and I read over chapters I've already read, and they give me this idea that I get it, the divine shares it with me, and then I just go, oh, let me share this. So you get to take what resonates for you and leave the rest. That's the same thing. Every book I've ever read, including the Bible, I take as information that's going to grow and expand me. And whatever doesn't work for my highest and greatest good, I just put it by the, I'm done judging it, and I'm done trying to prove other people wrong, because they have the right to believe the way they want to believe, because we're expressions of the divine. The divine is seeking itself or their selves through and as us, right? So what this says, okay, so I'll go back one. This is how Earth shifted into the 3D field. The title is called Earth's Fall from Grace. Grace would be that the whole experience, the whole story that Earth consciousness wanted to do started in 5D. And because more and more higher beings wanted to play in the lower realms and play in the duality and polarity, which gave them more playtime and more stories and more opportunities. So the more they started to drop down into that, they pulled Earth consciousness from her 5D. The more they did that, they accessed energy that pulled her down. She couldn't shift. She couldn't evolve up the vibrational momentum to shift into 60 or 70, which is what she wanted to do. She calls herself a she. Okay, according to the channelers who channeled to Lori Ladd, and Lori Ladd wrote the book. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. You don't have to believe it. But these are the 7 key reasons for Earth, her descent from the 5D field to the 3D field. The first was the variety of beings entering human forms. The second was free will. The third was access to the quantum field. The third was the role of the ego. The fifth was the physical form's ability to anchor lower dimensions. The sixth was the design of 4D races. Those would be your aliens or your what do you call them? Aliens or extraterrestrials. Those were just beings or expressions of the divine from higher dimensional realms that the divine allowed to play. Higher dimensions of itself playing in the 5D field, and then got lowered into the 4D and 3D field, because there was more opportunity for growth, lessons and stories, and to access itself, being itself as whoever. 11,000 years ago, it was the beings or the human beings that were living at that time, right? Okay, and then the seventh was the human form's frequency impacting the earth frequency, right? And this is what I'm going to read. The seventh pivotal reason for the fall was the impact of the human form's frequency on the earth on Earth's frequency. We noticed and we meaning the higher beings that are channeling this information. We means all. The all is the creator, and the nothing, which is the creator. So that's, we notice that as the human form shifted into the lower frequencies, the earth plane was being pulled down into lower frequencies as well. And earth plane means there's earth consciousness, and there's her body, which is called the earth plane or planet Earth, right? This changed, and that word is changed, ED, our understanding of the relationship between the human form and its impact on Earth. There was a symbiotic relationship between the Earth plane, or planet Earth, and the human body that eventually led to Earth's shift into the 3D field. Okay, it's believed, based on the channeling of this book and many others, that Earth consciousness wanted to shift in a human body as she did in formless. She wanted to do it with form and shift and evolve. And she wanted to do it all the way up to and beyond the seventh frequency, the seventh realm, whatever you want to call it. And she wanted to do it with a physical body. She wanted to know herself that way. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Right? So this seventh structure of what this seventh key reason just kind of blew my mind. Okay? Because we are so in tuned and attached to earth consciousness and her body. When she shifts, we shift, just like that. Just like the song says. We might not do it as soon as she does it, but she decided that if we wanted to shift down into the third dimension and live, utilize the free will choice to play in the polarities, she was going to let us. We had merged with her, and she was going to call her IT people and say, okay, give me a body worthy of being part of 3D. And give these human bodies a body that's worthy of that is going to be utilized well in 3D and be able to access the energy polarities and duality, so that they could tell their story, so that they could show us who we are in form. Why? Because we already know who we are in the formless. We already know that. We want to experience shifting and experimenting with ourselves in form. Right? Just blew my mind. So it says, when a human form accesses lower consciousnesses in lower dimensional fields, the form slowly shifts into those lower frequencies. When a human form anchors into a lower dimensional field, the form is holding that dimensional field's frequency. And remember, the last time I talked about this, forgive me, it was several weeks, almost a month ago, that you have to, in order to anchor into a dimensional field, 80% of your energy, the expression of energy is what you need to anchor into the next field. So 80% of that energy from 5D down to 3D, you had to be in 80% of that energy, that dense energy. That your body had to acclimate to it. It had to assimilate, acclimate, and become exposed to it. It had to be kind of like tapped into it. You had to assimilate, acclimate, assimilate, tap into it, and then when that energy gets to a certain vibrational density, it anchors. Now, if we had to do that, Earth Consciousness had to do that as well, because now we're part of we're truly part of the story, her story, our story, just like that. Not the same story, because all consciousnesses could come in and be anything it wanted to be. We had many choices of many different stories because third density was dense, that it required the lower polarities and the higher polarities to have a duality. If you're going to have an up, if you go up, you got to come down. If you go left, eventually you got to come back to right or to middle, right? If you're sad, eventually at one point you might find a little happiness. Doesn't mean that you'll settle into happiness. Some people like being unhappy, because unhappiness is making them a victim of something. And therefore, if they're a victim of something, usually they have individuals who pay attention to them, who say, "Oh," and listen to their story. They might not stay to listen long, but those individuals have that attention, and that vibration is what they want. They want to feed on vibration, right? Not a negative or positive for the creator within you to see, feel, and be itself through you. It's your decision to find a yes or no to it, or I like or I don't like to it, right? So this kind of blew my mind. It says also, as humans began to access the 4D frequencies and eventually anchor into the fourth dimensional field, we noticed that the earth plane beginning to be pulled down into the 4D frequencies and the 4D field. The human body was energetically impacting the frequency of the earth plane by shifting their own body's frequency. As hundreds of thousands of humans began to anchor into the fourth dimensional field, due to 80% of their body holding 4D frequencies, the earth plane began shifting into 4D frequencies and anchoring into the 4D field. Why? Because earth consciousness and her earth body, or the earth plane, that's her body, were moving. I'm sorry, my dog decided he wanted to touch my stand. As we were vibrationally attached to the story that earth consciousness was playing out. She wanted a form body. She wanted to shift. Her initial thought pattern was, I want to shift, I want to evolve, and I want to do it from 5D and move up. But the higher beings that came to play with her found that they could play and have more playtime if they moved down. So the human body was energetically impacting the frequency of the earth plane by shifting their own body frequencies. As hundreds of thousands of humans began to anchor into the fourth dimensional field, due to the 80% of their body holding 4D frequency, the earth plane began shifting into 4D frequencies and anchoring into the 4D field. The more humans anchored into the 4D field, the faster the earth plane shifted into the 4D field. Take what resonates. According to this channeling, it was not earth consciousness' intention to shift downward. She chose 5D which was the lowest field that she could shift her energy in, that did not have polarity, did not have duality. That way she could stay connected to the divine, to the one true creator, and remember what the story was about, and remember why she was doing this, and that everybody would have a connection to the one true creator. It didn't give you a lot of stories, but nonetheless you were with the one true creator creating, right? So Earth did not intend to shift into lower frequencies. Humans had free will, and she allowed for free will. Thus, she allowed herself to shift down as the humans chose to experience the 4D field. But it was never her intention. Nonetheless, she loved her experiment and the universal, the 5 universal laws that she created for this intention and experiment, so that her playmates could come and play and have fun doing it. But they had to adhere to the 5 rules, the 5 universal rules, right? Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. When I woke up this morning, this was like, whoo, going all through me, you know. So they go on to say, remember, the experiment Earth laid out was volatile. There was and is room for many different experiences to unravel due to free will. So even though they were still connected to the divine was part of the process. They knew how to manipulate energy. They knew everything, right? It was still could be very volatile because you had free will. And she wanted it that way so that we could have stories, even in our 5D bodies, right? She knew this, and we knew this. That means that the one true creator knew this. So they put in place universal laws that would assist in keeping her experiment and her intention on track. Had we known that human forms could pull the earth plane down in frequency, we might have created another universal law. Earth and we had to let the experiment play out. She said, just let it play out. It's okay. She said, I can do this. It took millions of linear years, but eventually we had an earth plane in the 5D, and this right here is what made sense. It took millions of linear years, but eventually we had an earth plane in the 5D field and in the 4D field simultaneously. We had 5D human forms and 4D human forms, and also the 4D races on the earth plane in different fields. The 4D races were what you would call what we call aliens or extraterrestrials. But they're just a expression, a vibrational expression of the divine from a different quadrant beyond the quantum field of the divine. They're part of the divine too. They're not separate from the divine. They're not separate from you. They occupy a different vibrational space, and they were invited to come play. There were 5D human forms existing in their reality and field, while there were 4D human fields and 4D races existing in their reality and field. Both the 5D human and the 4D human were existing on the physical earth plane. just in two separate dimensions, which now it's like, whoo, okay, I'm resonating in that because I've always asked about that. I've always felt that that's what it was. There was one physical earth plane being experienced, yet it had two-dimensional fields, two realities to experience on the earth plane. There wasn't a separate 4D earth plane. And that makes so much sense to me. That there wasn't two earths, but there was the two-dimensional fields being occupied at the same time, occupying earth consciousness. She allowed it. Both the human form and the earth plane began to experience the 3D frequency within the 3D field. It took millions of linear years, but we watched as, and once again they're saying we the divine creator, the creator that is all and the creator that is no thing, watched as Earth and humanity's frequencies shifted from a 5D field to a 3D field. It was becoming extremely difficult for Earth to shift into a 6-dimensional field. Because remember, she said, hey, mommy, daddy, I want to play and I want to shift and evolve with a physical form. And mommy, daddy, creator said, okay, let it be so. Right? Let it be so. And she said, oh, and like the consciousness of a child, can I have others come play with me? And mommy, daddy said, okay, send out your invitations. And she sent out a vibrational invitation. I'm going to close the book now, because if I keep reading, I'll be on here for like 3 hours, But it's kind of, and then the thing is, the more I read, the more I physically started to, not just mentally started, but actually physically putting the information together and understanding how I understand extraterrestrials and ET and aliens. They are a expression of the divine from different quantum fields of itself. And they were invited to come play, and they came to play. Now, the thing with little kids, sometimes they don't play, fair. Or they decide, oh, you know what? I thought I wanted to, be a higher being and take on a foreign body, but I think I might want to try to create my own body that doesn't need to be utilized with to utilize other beings. I want to create an image of myself without other beings having to take over the form. I want to create, mini me's. As long as they were adhering to the rules, it was let it be so. Right? Until as such time as they took advantage of it and went a step further than they should and started attaching their experiments to that was lowering the vibration of Earth consciousness and also causing Earth consciousness body to be in to be in destroy mode, so to speak. And that was when the divine could come in and kind of set things straight. Not stop the whole thing, but they had to come in and cleanse. And that's when they were cleansing the draconians and the reptilians and whatnot. All of the ones that were 100% draconians and reptilians, they had to go back to 4D, to that actual quantum version of 4D, and they weren't allowed back in. But here's the kicker. Here's the real kicker. Is if you give them permission to come back in, the divine has to say, let it be so. And most people, human beings, when they're talking and vibrating with that, you're giving permission for that story to vibrate and for them to come through whatever the energy portals that you talk about, that you see and whatnot. Charlie, stop. Sorry. And also when you decide to dream and shift into those different states, and then when you're talking about the negative entity of what they're doing to you, that entity has to say, okay, your wish is my command. If you want me to be doing something bad to you, let it be so. They can only come in. It's kind of like a vampire. The only time a quote unquote in the stories in the movies, the only time a vampire can come into your house is if you invite him or her in. In this chapter, in the chapter 5 of this, it blew my mind. It was like, yeah, that's all the time I was thinking it that way. That it's an expression of the divine being exactly what you want it to be. They may have, we may have given them our human version of what we believe their name is, and they have attached themselves to that and said, okay, if that's what you want to know us as. Thank you so much for your interpret. And remember, it's only my interpretation. It's what put my puzzle pieces together. But remember, one size just doesn't fit everybody, and you might not see it that way. Because I know that I've heard people, even after they hear all of this and they say great things to me, they will still come back and say, well, yesterday I had an experience and I was being abused by extraterrestrials, because that's their vibrational state that they want to be in. And get this, nothing is wrong with that. If they want to have a battle or have an encounter, a negative encounter with an extraterrestrial or an alien or whatnot in their dream sleep state, they can. The divine does not stop you from doing that. But the actual physical entities of the 4D beings or the alien or extraterrestrial beings are in the fourth dimension, and they were not given access anymore to play in this realm, except by you individually, because the divine says the universe has to, the frequency of the universe has to abide by your wishes. And that just like, I went, do you know what I mean? And just sucked it back in and went, yes, yes, yes. But I love the way Starlight says it. It's my interpretation of what I read of this book. And it started this helped me build pieces back to certain references of the Bible, certain references of the book of, or the law of one, the raw materials, or what is the other ones? It helped me understand. I'm trying to think of the book. Hold on. It helped me start to understand the three waves of the volunteers and the new earth. It gave me a better picture of what new earth looked like. That it didn't have to be a vibrational, old earth fades away and a new earth, whatnot. It's just to me, now I understand it. It's a vibrational leap into your shifting up into your vibrational dimensions, right? It's you starting to see you could still be anchored in fifth density, sixth density, seventh density. If you want to say you're from 144th density, you could be anchored there and moving and moving about in all the other densities that you just shifted from, and actually still in a vibratory field of looking at 3D, just in a different way. Earth consciousness and her body looks totally different to you. Where somebody might see the moon as being light years away, there's other people that see like the moon like sitting as close that you could reach out and touch it. Right? So were the rules created by the Galactic Federation of Light, or who? The Galactic Federation of Light is the divine appointing itself in expressions of individual or unique aspects of itself from different realms that would be kind of like the IT people that were creating the physical body and creating the information of what constitutes or makes up her physical body, what we could and we couldn't, what we could and we couldn't do to keep the story viable. But the thing is, Earth consciousness wanted to make sure that at least the five universal. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, hold on. I'm trying to find it. Okay, so there wasn't five. There was 4 quantum universal laws. The first universal law was, and this was when she was creating her shifting and her expanding or evolution from 5D and shifting up. Okay, it was free will. The second quantum universal law was all consciousnesses hold an aspect of source. That means every higher being that came to play and take on a physical form, whatever physical form it took, that it would stay in contact or hold an aspect of who source was and why, and it was because of source that they had access to play on earth consciousness's form body. Okay, so that's number 2. Number 3, it was intent creates experience. Okay, let me read that one to you. Consciousness creates all experience through intent and energy. Energy creates a frequency that dictates the experience. Depending on the frequency consciousness is existing in, intent can manifest instantaneous or take time. The slower the frequency of consciousness, the slower intent will manifest into the experience. A 3D consciousness intends an experience. It can then take months and years to appear. A 5D consciousness intends an experience, and it can take but a moment in time. Take what resonates. So, being in 3D, and we want to have the experience, we want to be born into human form, it takes 9 months to be born. And if you want to experience your adulthood in the 3D realm, you have to have at least 18 years of being being a baby, being a teeny bopper, being a teenager, and then growing into adulthood in 3D, because you've lowered your mass. In 5D, you can decide, I want to experience being a young boy. Then in 5D, because you had vibrationally higher light quotients in your body, you could merge with each other without having sex. You just merge with each other and have the same intent to make or create a new version, or a new version of you. New baby, new wherever. Then the higher being says, well, I want to come in. I don't want to come in at as a baby. I don't want to go through that. I want to come in and start the journey at 5 years old, or start the journey at 10, or whatever. And the female, if you want to call it that, the version that is vibrationally female holds that intent until that version of that being is created. Take what resonates. This makes so much sense to me. For me, it made more sense than for me, I just couldn't understand the Adam and Eve story. I just couldn't. I always kept asking, what more? Then I finally understood infinite opportunities and choices, infinite journeys and stories. It made so much sense to me. The fact that Earth consciousness, her body could house in different frequencies, different versions of beingness, 5D beingness, 4D beingness. To me, it made sense. To me, it's that it's that opportunity. To me, it's it opens up. Yes, it illuminates to me. Doesn't have to make sense to anyone else, but when it makes sense to you, whatever your story is, whatever you're reading, whatever your uploads or downloads or implodes or explodes are, they're for, and you can feel that they're for your highest and greatest good. It doesn't matter what anybody else says. It's for you to grow and expand at that moment. Yes, it's the light bulb moment. I don't know how many times I have read this book from cover to cover and saved it in my bio at least 2 times. right? And now I'm just going on things, that light bulb moments that the divine gives me and says, okay, go to page, blah, blah, blah. And then I go, whoa, right? I was even reading different paragraphs or different chapters while I am going through my healing process, because energy and quantum energy makes so much sense to me. It makes so much sense to me that we are made up of the same vibrational energy that the stars are made up of. Right? So let me see. They give you a frequency. Okay, so intent creates an experience, and then frequency dictates dimensional field. All consciousnesses hold a frequency, and that frequency allows the consciousness, that's us, that's what we have inside of us, to reside in a specific dimensional field. If a consciousness wants to experience a lower or higher dimensional field, it must shift its frequency either up or down to match the frequency within the dimensional field. For instance, a consciousness, say that's me, holding a 5D frequency can enter a 3D field by slowing down its frequency and moving into the dimensional field. The consciousness holding the 3D frequency can enter a 5D field by increasing its frequency and moving into that field. And then assimilating, acclimating, assimilating, tapping in, kind of like just kind of tapping. You're tapping and you're getting that energy to settle, right? Settle. And then once you have enough energy on either field, whether it's a 5D field or a 6D field, or whether it's a 4D field or a 3D field, once you tap in 80% of that energy into that particular field, you're anchored. You can experience. And if you went from 5D to 4D and then down to 3D, and you're 80% anchored in 3D, you can still access the consciousness of 4D and 5D. You still get to to look at the version of frequency that you're anchored into. You can still see it in different dimensional realms. So what other people might see in the 3D, and they might be, I'm so everything is going to hell in a handbasket, and the earth is going to, destroy itself. And then you just kind of going, okay, yeah, I do see where there's, a story over here that's talking about, a major hurricane, or I do see where it's talking about a major fire, or I do see, but you get to see it from a different vibrational vantage point, or different vibrational consciousness, and you don't see it as being, you're not diving into the fear of it. You're going, okay, something's changing, something's about to expand. Doesn't mean you have to go tell everybody, well, you're just scared and blah blah blah, and this is the cleansing and whatnot, because it might not be for them. Right? And they might be actively consciousness in 5D, in their physical 3D, accessing a different part of Earth consciousness, and that's a free will choice. Blew my mind that I could be on this very planet at the same time accessing duality. I can still access duality. I can still access the lower polarities, but I get to look at them from a different vantage point. For me, that blew my mind. So I think that was, let's see, 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? So the 4 quantum universal laws at the time that Earth consciousness was started her shifting and evolving with in a human form, with a human not a human form, but with her her form body, right? What was created for her was 4 quantum universal laws. That's why they said, had we known that this, that humanity could pull Earth consciousness down from 5D into eventually into a 3D, we would have made a couple of more universal quantum laws. Quantum universal laws. Blew my mind. So the divine is saying infinite possibilities. We didn't expect that, but infinite possibilities, it happened. So then they talk about the 8 micro quantum universal laws. So they had 4 quantum universal laws. Then they have 8 micro quantum universal laws, right? I just got a text, so let me move it. There we go. Welcome, I am Deja. So the 8 micro quantum laws, I told you, once I started reading them to you, I just have to keep going because it blows my mind. So, if you're still here, you're still here. There are also universal laws that are created within micro quantum fields. Micro quantum fields are dimensional fields within the quantum field holding their own unique experience, such as the Earth's experiment. Earth's experiment was in a micro quantum field. We created a 12D grid around the Earth that created this micro quantum field. We will go into more detail on the 12D grid in the next chapter. Any consciousnesses that choose to move into the micro quantum field will abide by these laws. So every one of her playmates, they got the invitation. Then they had to permit the invitation and sign a disclosure about maintaining these 12 microquantum universal laws. So the first one was that the Galactic Federation of Light are Earth's guardians. That all the Galactic Federation of Light, the expressions of the divine, were her guardian. They were going to take care of her. There is a 12D energetic grid around the Earth experiment. They had to abide by that. They couldn't say, well, I don't want to play if that's going to be there. I'm not going to sign this agreement, right? 444 equals Galactic Federation. The third one is the light quotient exists within the physical form. That the light quotient is going to exist in the physical form. That's what's going to allow this physical body to shift my higher beingness and to anchor it, to grow it, to expand it, to anchor it, and then to evolve it. Right? Okay. Woo. Okay. Then the next is the light quotient remains consistent. It remains consistent and it will continue to grow and develop. Light bulb. Right? Blew my mind. Just blew my mind. I told you if I kept going, it will just expand it. But then you get to take what resonates for you and allow it to grow and expand you, or you get to say, I don't believe that. That's a bunch of malarkey, not for me. And you get to keep going. And the divine will say, let it be so. Not in a negative way, not in a sarcastic way, meaning that you are the creator of the energy that's seeking to be told what to create. It's seeking to serve. Ooh, ooh. Okay. Then the fifth microquantum universal law is that the consciousness that incarnates is connected to its light. I'm connected to my light. The consciousness that incarnates into this layered vibrational body, this and its energies, different energy fields that expand out from it, is connected to the light that's within me, the energy, right? The consciousness that incarnates must vibrate at a 6D frequency or higher. So in order for me to shift at 5D up to 6D, I at least have to have some of that energy in me. So that energy can grow. And then when I get to 6D, I can have 80% of that energy and anchor. So that I can, so if I'm anchored 80%, that means 80% is in 6D. Another couple of percentages is in 5D, another couple are in 4D, and another couple will be in 3D. And now I'm anchored, I can see everything from 6D, and I still have I can still grow and expand, till I'm totally anchored when I'm moving into 8D. Right? Just blew my mind. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Right? So then it says that source is held within the physical form. So at 5D was the lowest level that Earth consciousness could go, so that she could shift upward, up the conscious levels. That she didn't have to encounter polarity and denseness. And she didn't have to encounter the possibility of having amnesia and not being, not knowing or recalling the fact that she knows how to operate the intention plus energy, and not be lacking in the wholeness. Forgetting that she is wholeness, and that the divine or the divine creator is part of her wholeness. That's as low as she could go, was 5D. Yet in this story, in the fifth density of or the fifth chapter of how Earth consciousness got pulled down to the 3D, she decided that since so many of the higher beings wanted to actively play in the lower polarity, she said, okay, make me a body for that. Says, humankind is a part of this story now. We're connected. Right? We're connected. Give me a body that will allow me to move so that they can move, allow me to expand so they can expand, allow me to grow so they can grow, allow me to learn so they can learn, allow me to shift so they could shift, and allow me to evolve so they can evolve. Give me, or told the Federation or their IT people, make me a body that will do all of this, and then we'll work on them. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. For me, it made sense. It took me from when I was that child, in Sunday school trying to understand a story that did not make sense to me, a creation story that just went, no, that's not working for me. What am I missing? What now? What more? That's what I always said. What more? And of course, I grew up in a time where, children don't ask questions to adults, especially questions that might make adults feel stupid. Or make adults feel that like they have to be defensive. I got a lot of that. They would always tell me, pick it on the yard. Exactly. When I was a kid, I didn't know anything about the yard. Now I understand. Maybe I did. I just didn't know how to account for it. Because I was looking for an explanation from adults that weren't giving me it. But now, this plus many other books are showing me the necessary information that I need to not just walk down somebody's yellow brick road, but create my own yellow brick road. And the next time something doesn't make sense to me, then I go, what next? And I know how to sit with myself and ask an embodying question to my higher self. Be prepared for the answer. It might not be the answer that I want, but all of a sudden, it'll be through maybe a collaboration, or it'll be through watching a TV on the movie. I can't tell you how many times right now that I've watched on Acorn. Right now, the Divine has me watching the series, and not every episode, but certain episodes about information, learning more about Nikola Tesla, learning more about energy, also learning about the way people view things solely based on their religion, that they are so apt to not letting go of it, that they're going to now all of this is people writing scripts, but the Divine is using everybody to help give the information when you need it, right? And let me get to this last one. So source is held within the physical form. Okay, in 5D, you always remember that you are a part of source. In 3D, you have your amnesia, that you don't remember, that you don't recall that you're higher being, and you've come here to play. But that's only for a time. Now, everybody can call it, my great big mass awakening or whatever, and some people say, I've had many awakenings, but my biggest one, that was the one that put me on my trajectory. Understand this, that not everybody has to wake up. Some higher beings come to just be in the body and the mind and experience the story. It's not about them their body having an awakening moment. How do you know that? I don't know how you know that. Right? I'm not sure. But you'll know. You'll know that you're conscious of being a body and a mind, and you're actually conscious of having a life that you're enjoying. Actually, nobody has to tell you. You don't listen to people's prerogatives. You just keep doing you and enjoying yourself. And some people just never, when they're on their deathbed and they're asked, do you have any regrets? With a smile, they say no and close their eyes, and they go to wherever they believe home is on that trajectory. So there are infinite possibilities. So then the eighth micro quantum universal law at that time was that the earth plane cannot be physically destroyed. That no matter how many senseless things we choose to do, the quantum universal law says, if you're playing on this playground, if you're coming in as higher beings to take physical form as a human form or as forms of earthquake or trees or whatever form that you're taking, you cannot physically destroy Earth consciousness and her body. That these are the universal quantum or microquantum universal laws. And those laws still stay put, even though Earth consciousness dropped into third density. When she dropped into third density, all she said was, okay, let's give them what they want to play. They want a body that can handle duality and polarity. Let's give it to them. But if we change their body, I have to change my body too. Because now we're connected. We're in collaboration with each other. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. You can still believe in Adam and Eve. Go ahead. That's your story. It's okay. I'm not changing that for you. I'm just telling you that this helped me make sense of how to connect my dots for my story. How it makes so much sense to me. Because it didn't, Adam and Eve, the story of Adam and Eve didn't make sense to me. And stories that are told to keep people as victims didn't make sense to me. But then when you start connecting the dots and you start going, oh, they are an authentic version of the divine seeking itself in stories that they have to actually access the lower polarities. Of course, they're gonna have stories that tap into control and discord and war. And of course, they're going to want you to come play on their playground. And some higher beings said, okay, I'll come play with you. And until, something shifts in my story, and then I'm going to be over there. It took me a long time to be able to say to other individuals that when I look at politics, I look at Democrats and Republicans being on the same coin. Just you get to choose which type of control you want, which type of control you want to play in. And for me, okay, I understand it. That means I get to decide, I get to turn on my GPS and say, okay, I want to go over here. It doesn't stop me from wanting to renew my driver's license every year, or renew my insurance, or drive a car, or have nice things. It just means I choose what's going to grow and expand me. Okay, and this is what the channelers of this book that was written, they give you a definition of the Galactic Federation of Light, because you go, oh, that just sounds like some Star Trek shit, and for you it might be. right? And for somebody else, it might not be. Somebody else, this might be some real vibrational, energetic growth and expansion for them. So they said, as we've stated before, Earth chose a group of higher dimensional consciousnesses to design, guide, and protect her as she moves through her intentional shift in consciousness. The Galactic Federation of Light are overseeing the entire experience and ensuring that she succeeds in her intention. You have your spiritual beings and your spiritual guides. Whether you believe in them or not, they're accessible to be vibrational energy to help you create, help you understand, help you learn, help you grow, help you expand, help you shift, and help you evolve. And then you get to do it again. You get to say, okay, chapter 2. Whatever you want to do. You've got these spiritual guides that are energy waiting to serve. Now, if you want to say, well, I want to know what they look like, and I want the blah, 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 and then this all makes sense, then ask them. But be ready for the visual. If you ask, they will show you. You're the one that's got to be ready for it. Sometimes folks are asking for shit that they really don't want to see. They don't really want to know. That's called embodiment. If you want to see something, feel something, if you want to be something, then you got to embody that. And the universe will say, ooh, this is what she wants. Open that door. Because you're vibrating it so much that the door or the vibrational door can't do anything but open up for you. I remember I used to have an uncle who would always say, ooh, Sandee, watch what you ask for. Why? Because he knew vibrationally you get what you ask for. And if you're not ready for it, if you don't know what you're really asking for, if you want something just because somebody else has it, and you haven't embodied yourself in seeing if that would work for you or how that would feel for you, if you haven't sat down with that, I grew up knowing that I had a guardian angel. But my guardian angel, I was always told, you have free will, so you have to tell your guardian angel when you want your guardian angel to intercede on your behalf. Because guess what? Your guardian angel, that energy, knows that you have free will. But it also knows how you can utilize and operate through your energy. What energy are you expending? Blew my mind. No matter what book you're reading, no matter what audible you're listening to, no matter what music you're listening to, no matter what music you're dancing to, no matter what movie you're watching, there's information there for you. What are you looking for? What's part of your growth and your expansion? You could listen to 10, 15 different people that have lives and sit there and take notes from each one of them. And then go, and if you're reading your notes, you could take 3 bits from one person, 3 bits from another person, 3 from another person. And then you could have, you write those 3 bits of each person on a different notepad, and you'll come up with a whole different infinite structure for yourself. Take what resonates. Leave what doesn't. for me, I wasn't understanding some of the book of Ra the first. And then I said, I just did this. I said, oh God, there's something I'm missing in here. Why am I not understanding the lingo that they're using? I understand that they're trying not to usurp free will. But what am I not understanding? What's missing? That's when I started to read. No, I take that back. It was reading the one of the other books by Dolores Cannon, and that book plus the first book that I was reading of the Law of One of the raw materials, and I was going, okay, am I mixing them up? Why aren't I really understanding this? Do I really need something really basic? Kind of like about to talk myself down in being stupid, or listening to my ego say, "Oh, you're not smart enough." And then I just went, "Okay, well, I'm missing something, and I need to find that missing piece, or allow that missing piece to find me." And that's when this book came. That's when somebody came while I was reading. I think while I was reading a little of Dolores Cannon and the raw material, and I was reading out loud Dolores Cannon, and no, I think I was reading out loud the raw material, and a young lady said, "Hey, have you ever read? Hey, Sandee, have you ever read the divine design?" And then she typed it in, and she put the name of the author, and I immediately, this is the divine. I immediately went to Amazon. I typed in the divine design, and as I was putting in the first name of the author, it came up. And it came up on special. I put it in my cart. You remember that, right? And all of a sudden I had the book. So after I finished reading, one, I started reading this one. And then this book, it literally merged. It merged 4 books together for me. It merged information that I wasn't making sense ever since I was a teeny bopper about the Bible, certain verses. The book 1 of the Law of One, or raw material, and and a few chapters of what is it called? 3 waves, right? And then there was some information from book 3 of Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh. And in that information, everything, information just started dropping. As some people say, the shit started hitting the fan and making sense. And then you see this wheel spiral of all this information going splat on the page, right in the sequences that it needed to be for me, for my highest good, right? So it helped make sense. And also, this book helped make sense of aliens and extraterrestrials, because I never thought aliens were separate than God. I always believed that we were told that so that we'd be afraid of stepping out into the unknown. That I always knew. I just knew as a young adult and even as a kid that the universe was very infinite, and there was great possibilities that there was more than us in this vast universe. And the fact that we thought we were, the audacity that we had to think that we were the the highest intellect in all of the divine realms, just blew my mind that we could take and assume that we were created, or man was created first, and that man had dominion over everything. It just didn't make sense to me. It wasn't because I wanted to hate men. It was just as a kid, it did not make sense. Over everything, over the flowers, over the trees, over the animals, over everything. Dominion. So, so now when I start to, listen, right? I mean, there are certain movies that I can enjoy, but now I'm actually listening to the dialogue, especially when my higher being says, listen. And all of a sudden, something just like the light bulb goes on, it says it, I write it down, and I go, whoa. Right? I'm just, whew. All right. I think I'm going to, any questions? Do you have any questions? I want to read to you the back of her book before I go. I'm glad the fact that I picked it up and turned it over. It says the divine design reads like a sci-fi movie, yet it is groundbreaking account of the courageous and complicated history of Earth and humanity. Get ready to witness the design and creation of Earth, the human body, and all living organisms. Get ready for the fall of humanity from the fifth dimensional state of awareness to a third dimensional state of awareness, and the last 10,000 years of evolution as Earth and humanity slowly shift their consciousness back into the fifth dimensional state of awareness. By reading this book, you will embark on a journey of deep remembrance that will bring into your awareness the ancient knowledge and memories buried deep inside your cells. This book will also enable you to remember why you are here at this time, gain a deeper understanding of human journey, reclaim your infinite personal power, get unstuck on your spiritual path, navigate challenging times, and accept and love yourself just the way you are. Let's see. Takes men to build a zoo or chop a forest for building. Is that men, meaning men and women of mankind, or just men? Meaning that it takes their brawn or their strength to build a zoo, and their strength to chop down a forest for building? Thank you for the hearts and the flame. I am thankful that you guys have came to join me on this. When the divine just kind of opened me up. I do this because most people are saying I got to download, but for me it just opened me up, and kind of vibrated through me and and I think it's also through the process of the growth and expansion of me learning to transmute and shift and evolve in my growth and expansion of, for my health and wealth and well-being, and also being the student now instead of being the teacher. So just like having these light bulb moments, even if it's the same book being read, a dozen times. Reading it a dozen times means I get a dozen activations. Hold on. Anyway, so I don't know. It looks like somebody was trying to type a conversation because I thought I saw it move. What? Women will not go in the midst of wild, dangerous animals and capture, then bring to a zoo, or pick up an axe to chop a forest. Oh, that's your perception of what women will or will not do. I get it. My perception is that that women have as many opportunities to do, being, not hunters, but, going and becoming, if that's what they wanted to do, become a hunter. There are women who become hunters. There are women who play golf. There are women who pick up an axe back in the days where they didn't have a husband because their husband died on the wagon train, or they died during a drought or whatnot, and they had to pick up an axe and continue chopping wood to make a fire for their family, or chopping wood to clear their land so that they could plant fields, and they also had to till the field. Okay, so everyone has a perception of what men and women, what the jobs of men and women are, what their strengths and their weaknesses are. But those are the perceptions as seen by the individual. That's all. So it's not a right or wrong. It's your perception, right? So for me, I'm learning that now. The story doesn't have to be so dogmatic, so pragmatic, and it can be. It's for me more of an understanding. Now, a lot of the information pulled from all these various books help me understand that there are infinite possibilities, and one person can have a perception, and if that's their perception, and if that's the vibration that they're in, then that's what's going to be viable for them. Work the fields, but capturing wild beasts, no, and clearing a whole forest, no. That's your perception. I'm not going to argue that with you, and you've been on my page long enough that I'm not going to argue it. You can have your perception. It's yours. It's okay. Let it be so. I believe that men and women can do what they need to do, or want to do, or desire to do. It's infinite possibilities. I'm not limiting anybody to what they can or can't do. That was part of my learning process. My learning process doesn't have to be yours. So, there was something else that I was going to, there was something else. And I think it was in the this book. There's another channeled book, channeled by Adamus Saint Germain. I keep saying James, but Adamus Saint Germain. And it was written, it was channeled through, let me get their name. So, sorry. God, they didn't put the, Jeffrey Hopp, right? So, absolutely, Starlight, infinite possibilities, right? So this book is called Masters in the New Energy, right? Okay, so, here it is. It says trusting, knowing, and mastery, right? Dominion has do in the word, and the thought of could be quite different. It could be different. It's a human word. We created the word, right? We created the word, or define the word from other books. Yeah. But if you're wanting to say to me that you believe that men have dominion over everything, and that's your perception and your belief, go ahead. I'm not going to argue with you. I'm going to say I have a different perception. And as a child and an adult, through all these books, I've learned very differently that it's not about humans having dominion over anything. It's about growth and expansion. For me, it's about shifting and evolution and growing and expanding and being part of the wholeness. For me, that works. At this point, I don't have time to tell people what they can believe about themselves and what they can't, or what they can believe about others. Okay, so I'm done with that energy. I'm just not even going to respond to that one. Okay, so this says trusting, knowing, and mastery. It says, I began this book with a discussion about trust in self. It is the single biggest ingredient in becoming a master, and it is the ingredient of moving into the new energy. If you don't trust yourself, you are leaving parts of you behind. If you don't trust yourself, you are taking a very crooked and distorted path into the new energy. You'll get there sooner or later, but it's going to be the tough and difficult path. Having undeniable, implicit, and total trust in yourself, the total compassion with yourself, is the key. It is the secret to mastery. You don't need to write volumes about it. You don't have to have long schools or classes about it. It just is. You just choose it. It is eloquently simple, and yet some make it so difficult and complex. As you trust yourself more and more each day, you open to who you really are. Not just the identity that you have right now, but to your true self, or the true you. As you open yourself through trust, you're going to discover that the unknown, and that's with a capital U, discover what the unknown, what the unexplainable truly is, and you'll understand why it is difficult to put it into or onto words. You will understand why we don't even like using words such as spirit or God to define to divine it anymore. You will discover that it is already within, but not trapped within or limited to within. It is within you, but it is a part of you that is so expansive, it is indescribable. It cannot be defined, only discovered and experienced. Okay, so they go on to say, I also talked about the Merlin energy. Now he's summing it up, because this is almost the end of the book, right? This is what the divine, sometimes the divine just drops me in, right? Okay. I also talked about the Merlin energy. The Merlin is the one who goes into the unknown, the discoverer, the explorer. I talked about this whole concept of magic, which is nothing more than what you have yet to know or to understand. Let's combine the two here for a moment in a brief exercise. I am going to quickly ask you a series of questions, and you are going to trust yourself and answer that comes to you. It will come to you from you. It not coming from the outside energy. Answering is only coming from you. Answer yourself these questions out loud, then wait no more than 2 seconds to feel the immediate answer. Okay, he asked these questions. What is the title of your first book? What is the, and I'll take a moment. What is the title of your first book? What is the name of the first song you were going to write? What are you going to bring financial abundance into, how are you going to bring financial abundance into your life? Right? What is the most important thing you can do in your relationships with other people right now? It's about you answering the question. Your higher being, you sitting with your higher being. The higher being gives you the first answer. And how do you feel in that answer? That's called embodiment, right? You see, we're going fast, and you're trying to say, slow down, I need time for the answer. But that's because you're trying to think about the answer. Here is where the Merlin energy comes in. The trust comes in where you're just feeling it. You're not going to hear words. You're going to just feel something. Even though it may be undefinable, it may just be a knowingness or a feeling. You want to try a couple of more questions. They have a question that says, what is the best thing you can do for your body right now? What is the name that most fits you in the present moment? What do you correspond angels? What do your correspondent angels look like? What is your favorite game to play? What was the most important thing about your early childhood years? What would you like to create right now? And they have quite a few more, but I'm going to do 3 more, and then I'm going to stop. What is the most important thing about your relationship with yourself? What are you going to do about your job? I feel somebody is vibrating with that question right now. I just feel it. What will bring you clarity into, or what will bring clarity into your life right now? And the last one, what is the single biggest thing holding you back? Then they say, you see, there is an answer. It was there because the answers to any of these questions in your field of consciousness or potential. I love that. Hold on. Or potential. Perhaps you haven't recognized the answer. Perhaps you've been avoiding the answer. Part of you was even denying it has an answer, or that the answer came. But every answer that you came up with, trust it. It's you. It's your authentic self having a conversation and asking an embodying question and waiting for the answer, feeling, sometimes you feel through it before you actually say it out loud. Okay. He goes on to say, you say, but I didn't have time to think about it. It just came. It was crazy. It's not crazy. There's a reason it just came to you. Now the answer and the reason for the answer may have many layers and levels to it, and you may be perceiving only one. You may be perceiving only one. You have infinite possibilities that came to you all at once, whoosh, and hit you like a ton of bricks, and felt like it felt good. It felt vibratorily like it was making you drunk, and it was infinite possibilities of all these answers happening all at once because you felt it all at once, right? So as you explore the answers that you just gave yourself, explore the other facets of each answer as well. As I said before, it is always about going into the more depth with energy, going into other layers. But to do it without thinking, do it in the same energy that you just want answers to questions. This is a tendency to trivialize what you heard and said. Don't know where it and say, I don't know where that came from. Haven't you said that before? Where you've heard this answer and you go, where did that come from? And you discount it. Now you've given your ego an opportunity to discount it. You're okay, Bubba. You're okay. It's okay, Bubba. My doggy is having a dream, and he was whimpering in it, so I had to just kind of, not insert myself in there, but I just tell him he's okay. Right? So it came from you, from your own energy field. It has been sitting there waiting for an opportunity to fly in and address itself, and it knew it had to jump in quick while the opportunity was present. While the opportunity was present. It had a moment. You're asking all these questions, you're answering all these questions, your higher being is answering all these questions, and before it could, before you, your ego could jump in there and say, where did that come from? Who said that? Was that me? That couldn't have been me. The higher essence of that vibration of you said, ooh, yeah, that felt great. That answer felt really great. I can vibe with that answer. Right? So then he says, you see, this is what the Merlins have always known. They didn't get bogged down with the intellectual analysis, because if they did, well, they wouldn't have been Merlins. You're a Merlin. A Merlin isn't someone's name. It isn't the name of Sir Lancelot's, magic man. A Merlin is you. It's the operation or the movement of energy. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. I don't care whether you believe it or not. I believe it. So it works for me. And I'm just sharing it with you. And then you get to take what resonates. And then you get to expand and grow yourself. Or you get to say, I'm going to leave that because that doesn't resonate with me. And you know what? That is a viable answer. And the universe, knowing that you are the Merlin, the mover of your energy, will say, your wish is my command. We're going to move. We're going to move it along. Right? So I'm going to read one more thing, and because I don't want my battery to die. That's right. You're a Merlin. I'm a Merlin. Merlin doesn't have to be a man, and it doesn't have to be only women. It doesn't have to be a god, only gods, or only goddesses. It doesn't have to be only these certain collective beings. It is a being that's manipulating and moving energy. And it doesn't matter whether it's manipulating energy on a positive polarity or a negative polarity. We were meant to be Merlins that were expressing the energies from everything in balance. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. The divine is moving in, through, and as me. The divine is the one true creator that is seeking itself in, through, and as me, and utilizing the energy, or allowing me to utilize the energy in this form. To me, that's a gift. It doesn't have to be for you. Right? So it says, okay, you see, this is what the Merlins have always known. They didn't get bogged down in the intellectual analysis, because if they did, well, they wouldn't have been Merlins. They would have gotten stuck, and they would have never been able to traverse the dimensions, never been able to change the reality landscape. As simple as this exercise was, remember it's energy, because that's what it's like being the Merlin, being the master, right? It's the intuitive knowingness and acceptance of what comes through. It is what is that word? Implicit trust of just letting the answer come in. Now, perhaps you say, I received no answer. Well, you can believe you did. But the divine says, yes, you did. You were looking for something specific, searching for words, for instance, and the answer might have come in with just a feeling. You were looking for words, but the answer came to you in a vibration of feelings. The answer might have come in with a quick picture or flash of knowingness. The answer might have been only one word, or you may have heard a whole sentence or paragraph being spoken, and you were trying to decipher it. But the essence is still there and will remain there. You can go back at any time to the question and ask yourself, what were you feeling at that moment? Take a deep breath and remember how simple that is or was. And remember that it is the experience of trusting yourself. It didn't come from anywhere else but you. There are many angelic beings with you, overseeing this exercise to make sure that no other energies interfere. It wasn't anybody else. The answer came from you. Life is not happening to you. It's happening because of you, because you're a Merlin, because you're a master of energy. You may not know it yet. You may be moving through the feelings and creating through the feelings, but And that might be all you've come to do. Maybe your higher being has said, I just want to feel my way through this this vibration of being in a form body with a conscious mind. I just want to vibe through. I want to, I want to vibe and move. That might be you, right? That just might be you. 222 equals peace. Thank you. Thank you for all you do. Oh, you are so welcome. Thank you for you always show up, and I hope that the information, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. There is no one size that fits all. Everybody is so authentic and spiritually in wholeness on their own path. And that's what growth and expansion is all about. Let's see, any consciousness has the ability. Exactly. If they choose. That's the greatest part, is that this whole expressing of whether you call it, they call it experiment, Earth consciousness experiment, but they also call it her die. I'm sorry, my phone is about to die. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to thank you very much for this energetic connection. I'm going to close the connection, the energy connection, with 10845, 10845, 10845. If you came in late, know that I will save this as soon as I go put my my phone on its charger, and I will save it so that you can come back to tap in to information, to shifting and evolving. I love you. Peace, balance, and wholeness. Enjoy your weekend. I love you, Leah. 10845. Thank you so very much, everyone. Thank you, Starlight.